Yeah. Anyway, I'm Pat.
Hey, Pat, I'm Jeffrey.
So on the sign in front of your house, it says, "We do not waste food in this house." In this house, we do not waste food.
Okay, right. There's caveats to that, right?
Okay.
So the caveat on that is we don't waste food as long as it's still food. And ultimately here's the thing is you understand that there is a life cycle to food.
Yeah.
So once Gatorade becomes like algae or something like that, it's not food anymore.
Right.
Right?
It's its own life form.
Correct. Correct. So if it can be used, that's great, right? And you'll retain it until it can't be used as food.
Right.
So you don't have to eat it per se, right? You have to give it every opportunity to be eaten before you dispose of it.
But it's not like a clean your plate kind of thing. You're not morally opposed to leftovers.
I'm not.
Oh, okay.
No,
All right.
of course not.
All right.
No. And I'm not. There's no hard and fast rule around here where it comes to not just plate cleaning, but also just like, this is gross. I don't want to continue.
Okay. All right.
Right?
So you don't have to finish that whole plate of lutefisk that someone dished up for you at Christmas.
Wouldn't be served here, but that's because remember the in this house part. You don't eat that in my house.
Right. Okay. There's also a list of banned substances.
Right.
You can't take this on an airplane. You can't bring that shit in my house.
Let me show you the Schedule 1 foods that are not allowed in my fucking house.
Schedule 1 foods. That's interesting. I like that.
Don't lie. I know there's some shit that you're not going to let in your house either.
Oh, fuck
so,
yeah. Just about all forms of fish.
Right. Oh,
Yeah.
well, like allergy stuff.
Well, shellfish in particular.
Yeah.
But if my wife wanted to make shrimp, I wouldn't, get out, and have to, fumigate my entire house. I'm just not going to eat that.
Well, you're not going to eat that, but does she have to be careful about, washing the boards or stuff like that? You're not that...
I don't think that would hurt me that
Right.
bad. I've been to plenty of restaurants where they serve shrimp,
Right.
and it hasn't killed me.
Yeah.
There's only been one place where, I know that they were, fucking just never changing their fryer oil.
Right.
So, and yeah, everybody there had to have the coconut shrimp.
Where was this?
Well, that Oscars place downtown.
Oh,
They
right,
had
right.
they had some appetizer there that was really popular. That was fried shrimp, something or another. I don't think that place exists anymore. Dude, I was driving down Austin Bluffs the other day. They bulldozed the old Chicago.
I took pictures of it, yeah.
Did you?
Mid-demolition.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I guess I hadn't driven past it since Wednesday, and then I had to take my wife downtown yesterday.
Yep.
And it was exploded. I was like...
That is correct. No, you're absolutely right. When I got there, the fucking Constructicons were actively, tearing it down. So...
You need this for fuel.
So that...
What are they going to build there?
I have no idea. Are you?
I'm not privy to it.
Are you guessing?
I'm guessing a car wash.
There's a car wash literally across
I know.
the street.
Yeah. See, this is what I'm telling you, man. Car washes are the new Village Inns and gas stations. So,
So, okay. Now here's...
There's 3 of them right there.
I know.
Oh, okay.
I'm with you because that ultimately that means that the KFC on the corner needs to be demolished with a car wash put in.
So you play Foursquare with the car washes.
That's correct because there's a gas station over there with a car wash.
There's a gas station with a car wash, but that's not the I'm talking about them fancy fucking car washes with 18 stalls, and
it's just over there.
they built those at Village Inn and put one right there.
I know.
So, but and the thing behind those car washes is now I understand the revenue stream. Okay, it's not quarters, it's subscriptions.
That was not always the case.
No, it used to be your build it and leave it kind of business and go with a bucket and then come back with quarters every week.
Right.
And then pay off the city water inspection guy. So,
No, at this point, yes, you try to get people to buy the fucking Quack Battle Pass. Right. Is that what they call it? Is that the yearly
BattleNet, the Battle
the
Pass?
Battle Pass, or is
so,
it there's another term for that?
I don't know, Diablo Bucks.
Yeah.
The Quack Battle Pass, I like that. So,
It is.
but that's
I mean,
that's what it is.
yeah.
I just didn't understand that. As a guy who almost never washes his vehicles. But then I was talking to some guys at the yacht club, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I got to take my car over to the car wash." Blah. I was like, "Just let God do it." You know, it's April, man.
Boy, does that
May.
piss some people off.
Oh my God, yeah, you'd be surprised. So that God doesn't rain wax on my car. It was like,
Does he need to?
right? Yeah.
Right. Questioning the man's judgment.
I think that's the sixth seal. You know,
Right. Well, there's because usually what comes with that is a lecture of like, I don't know if you know what they put down on the streets in the winter.
Oh yeah, fucking rot your car out from underneath.
Right.
Having lived in places where it rained a lot more than it does here,
Right.
it's not really that big a deal. No.
No. I've washed cars regularly. I have not washed cars regularly. Mm-hmm. And I will say this is sort of basically like cooking pork to 230 degrees, right? Where at a time, everything that you've said is true. Where you'd want to basically demolish this meat because of little parasites.
Yeah.
But because we've eliminated those unclean conditions, you can eat pork at a lower temperature. Not a raw temperature, right?
No.
And in the same thing where that goes where they say like, well, how did they used to, handle the streets back in 1965? It's like, well, they would just go to the salt factory and just throw salt on the streets.
Right.
Right? So would you have to wash your car afterwards? Yes.
Yeah.
Because it would eat your car to pieces.
Yeah.
But we don't really have that anymore.
No. I remember as a kid when they used to salt the streets.
Right.
So, but even like when I first started driving, you get a little bit of that shit on your car.
A little bit.
Yeah, but it never like ate through it. I mean, unless you left it for like multiple seasons.
And that's the other piece.
Yeah.
Is if it doesn't get cleaned, right? Because you're not. Now they use that solution that's gravel like plus a little bit of like melting agent.
Well, it's got glycol in it. Yeah.
There you go.
Same stuff we use to de-ice airplanes.
That's
so,
that.
Yeah.
Right. But back in the day, sure, and you would want to rinse that stuff off.
Right.
But it's not 1965.
No, it's not 1965.
And paint's a little bit different than it used to be.
Right.
Right.
And cars are mostly plastic now.
That is also correct.
Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. So yeah, there are those people that will tell you of these dangers that no longer apply.
Dude, there's a lot of that.
It kind of is.
Yeah, your pork.
Yeah.
I was thinking about your pork example. I do remember that. Where mom would burn the shit out of your pork chops.
Yeah.
So, because she didn't want you to get worms.
I know. And here's the thing: is I know that from my dad's perspective, right? I don't think he knew anybody that got rung up by it, but somebody did. So there was a rash of people that must have gotten rung up, especially in the Midwest, because my family comes from Ohio. They come from Michigan. There must have been some bad shit in pork country over there.
There must have been, yeah. I mean, I've seen like the like there was one going around on Twitter like a couple weeks ago. It was like diagnose this, kind of thing, and it was a guy who had gotten that really bad, and it looks like he's like basically a vanilla chip cookie underneath the.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it's disgusting, dude. And they say, well, yeah, eventually if you get it this bad, it's going to kill you. Because these things will like lodge in your brain, and you're going to turn into a retard,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and eventually it gets into something that you need for things to tick or function. So.
Yeah. You're absolutely correct.
But I almost guarantee you that there's even drugs that treat that now. I mean, isn't that what ivermectin actually does? Amongst many other magical properties of it.
There's a lot of things that they're claiming it does at this point.
I've never really looked into it, so...
There are people that are claiming it is now a really effective cancer medication.
Okay.
Which, I mean, here's the thing, is if you read what it says and you say, like, this is basically a parasite, it looks for parasites, right?
Right.
All right. Well, how does this basically determine what's a parasite versus what's normal? Is it within the realm of possibilities for me to have it see cancer cells as potentially parasitic because they're not part of the normal operation? All right, can't argue it.
I don't think that's how it works.
I'm not looking at it under a microscope, but I can see that there's a possibility of that. It depends on what the mechanism is.
Well, yeah, I don't think the mechanism behind it is that complicated. There's probably a chemical compound in it that kills
Right.
parasites.
Right.
It's not like it has a blueprint with a human body and says, "Oh, this is a parasite. It doesn't belong here."
Oh no, right.
Right.
But parasites may exhibit certain traits or certain
Possibly.
chemical whatevers that certain types of cancers sort of have that same kind of appearance, or it could be a byproduct. I don't know. I have no idea.
Yeah, I don't know.
But there are some people that are saying it's effective, or at least an effective new way to look at things.
Well, I mean, they're not that far away from a cancer vaccine. That pops up every now and then. So
Yeah.
they're not that far away from it. They've been talking about it for the past 10 years, and every time I see it kind of come up, it's like, oh, okay, so you guys have been working on this.
Right.
So, and it has proven effective in a number of laboratory studies on specific types of cancer.
Right.
So cool, All right, so eventually we'll get there on that. I mean, and a lot of it is people just, oh my God, chemotherapy is fucking poison. It is, but it works.
It's designed to be.
Exactly.
It has to be.
It has to
Right.
be by its nature, And same thing with radiation therapy.
Yeah.
So, is it effective in all cases? No. And often not, because you really are in the tail risk. You got yourself a weird fucked up cancer,
Yep.
or you waited way too long. So, like my dad did.
So did mine, but evidently there was nothing they could do anyway.
See, mesothelioma is a different one, man.
Yeah.
So that one's because it's due to a foreign body. It's due to it's asbestos. And so you can't go in there and pick all the little things out. And so,
Yeah, the only thing they said was if you see it early enough, you have to cut out the affected part.
Correct.
And we were not that early, and most people aren't. I mean,
No. Yeah, but that's one of those ones you can screen for that a lot better than they could in the past,
I
too.
believe they can.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the MRI technology they have now is pretty fucking amazing. So, I mean...
Fortunately, I haven't had to use one.
I've had 3.
Well,
two in the last... Well, no, I've had 3.
Yeah.
I've had 2 on my head and 1 on my fucking arm. So, but even in my arm, they were able to tell that entire, ligament and tendon was ripped. And I was like, okay... Isn't it just pink stuff like everything else? I'm aware that there's white stuff, there's pink stuff, and there's runny stuff.
Right. So explain it to somebody who sees the human body as like a sausage tube.
Right. Yeah. Right. Exactly. Is it the casing or is it the meat?
Well, sir, yes, but there's also one other component in here. It's before so that thing that they grind, that's the bone. It's yes, right, go on.
Get copy.
Right? Yeah. No, I gotcha. No, it's weird. I mean, if there is some accuracy to it, that's fantastic. I mean, the one that always gets me is that for all the benefit concerts and the hullabaloo and the screaming about it and the marches and all this other stuff, AIDS was more or less completely cured without with barely a fanfare, right?
Yeah, and it was...
In this country, at least.
Yeah, it was a huge fucking deal, too, man.
Right.
I remember when Magic Johnson got diagnosed with HIV, and everybody's like, oh my God, and start wearing black crepe, already, because he's not going to make it past 32.
Yep.
Kind of thing. And the dude looks the fucking same.
Well, that was the thing that was controversial about that, too, was because he was in good health, they also had to change protocols for what happens in the NBA when there's an injury or the sight of blood or anything like
dude,
that.
I remember all that shit.
Yep.
Yeah, when people freaking out because you want to kick him out of the NBA because it's supposedly a blood sport, Yeah, but then what? I don't know when they actually came out, because not only... I don't think they have a vaccine that fully cures it, but I think they have a way to make it stop progressing.
Well, that's basically it. They have this crap called Truvada now.
Okay.
And it's just... So, they had treatments for it back in the day, and you'd have to have that Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, pills thing with 40 different things in there, right? Now you take one.
It's a pill?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I believe they have like vaccines, or at least something like that here that goes along with it. But I know that they have a treatment, a straight up just treatment, like one, like it doesn't like get rid of it entirely, but it doesn't kill you.
Right.
So you still don't want to get it, but it was not the. It's not like the role playing game like fucking like Curse. You have 20 turns, right? To kill the original spreader of this,
Right, yeah.
or else you will die,
Right.
kind of thing. Again, that was the same, like that ticking clock thing. It's like, oh, they got Magic Johnson. This is over.
Oh my God.
Right? Where is he? He's somewhere being normal.
Right, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, probably playing golf somewhere.
Probably.
Probably.
People don't even ask about that shit anymore.
No. Uh-uh.
So that's a weird one. So, I mean, cancer's definitely next on the list.
Yeah, hopefully it'll be like that someday. So
Pretty much. I
Yeah,
mean,
I hope
you've
so.
seen it many
Yeah.
times. Cancer sucks.
cancer does suck.
It's weird because, I mean, I guess it's always existed,
It's always been there.
but there's just not that much, like, historical data around it because, like, when it started kicking in, I think you just died.
Well, they called it a lot of different things. I mean, for years they called it consumption.
Right.
Because they didn't know, but they cut you open. There are these big chunking fucking tumors in there and stuff.
Right.
So they would call it that. I mean, there's a few famous cases of people who got killed by cancer.
Right.
Even way back in like Rome and stuff. So it happened. We know it existed. That's the same thing. I was seeing all this stuff, like all this, I haven't seen RFKJ in the news too much lately, but
He's been around.
yeah, I just don't. I guess he's not in circles that I follow, or people who like put that as like something to get either really pissed off or really excited about. Let me put it that way.
Right. Right.
But they were talking about how like, we live in a more toxic society than ever. Blah 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 with microplastics and yada yada yada.
He's not wrong on that.
I get that, but I mean. Well, they were specifically talking about things like ADHD and autism
Yeah.
and stuff like that. And, nobody's got, like, I've seen the argument about 100 times, and nobody's been able to actually, like, address this issue. And that's just the one of, okay, you've got a lot more people looking for it.
There's that
So you're
argument.
going to find
It's-
a lot more of it, and that's exactly what the case was with cancer. Okay, because once we identify, oh, that's cancer. Okay, then all of a sudden it's like, well, is that cancer? Yeah, that's cancer too. Is that cancer over there? Yeah. Is that over there? No, that's just a mole.
Right. Right.
Does that make
right.
sense? And so I get some of that stuff, but still at the same point in time, I also understand that, like just on a basic level, you do have to address that argument.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's the famous. I think that's the famous like left-handed argument.
Right.
Right. You find a lot more left-handed people when you stop diagnosing it as wrong,
Correct.
and it just sort of naturally happens here. But that being said, it also doesn't happen to the extent that. So this is where they talk about basically, like, essentially they talk about whether or not transgenderism is a social contagion,
yeah.
and they say, "Oh, well, it's always been there. It's just that people have been saying it's wrong." Blah 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 blah. I'm like,
I don't know.
yeah,
about
no,
that. Yeah, I don't know.
no,
About
you're full
that.
of shit.
Yeah.
It's like you can make a point for some of that, but it wouldn't be in the percentages and the groups that you're talking about if that were the case. And especially when you sit there and you look at the overlap of these things for these things and say, there's a very interesting. So much to the point that in the UK, I mean, this is basically as point conclusive as it gets, where if a youth goes to a clinic with quote unquote gender dysphoria, right, the first test from here on out is for autism, not for gender dysphoria. This is the thing: is that
I think the first test should be for depression.
I think the first test should be for your fucking mother.
Where is she?
Well, I mean, that's the first thing they should look. Again, the crossover of basically, the mothers where if a mother has a child with one transgender child, right? The odds
Wait,
of having...
what do you mean?
So if a mother has
Has one transgender child.
has a child that they identify as transgender,
What's the chances that his or her sibling will be transgender?
very high.
Yeah, I can see that though.
This is
Yeah.
sort of the thing here. So there should be
Well,
two
it's just monkey see, monkey do. I get it.
monkey see, monkey do, or
Yeah.
Munchausen by proxy. I mean,
Yeah, sure,
it
yeah.
is what it is. And that's because it's usually not the dads. I hate to say it, it's usually not the dads.
No, typically not. But I mean,
Because dad will say like, "Oh, just walk it off."
well, if he's not missing,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
which is a thing. So,
And this is, there's a lot of this is basically, misplaced. Like, no, you're not this. You're just gay, and that's all right too.
yeah.
Right.
Well, there's always been butch women, and there's always been girly
Absolutely.
boys. You know,
Right.
that's a thing. It's just this is definitely a new spin on that.
100%. I mean, this,
you
like,
know.
Jung himself was very clear about, like, these are the four major aspects of this.
Who is this?
Carl Gustav Jung, where he talked about
Jung,
the
yeah.
animus and the anima. It's like
Right.
male and female are part of every human being, and the way that they manifest themselves is a little bit different. That's
Correct.
why, like, you can see sort of like Felix Unger was very kind of femme, but he still liked women. I mean, this is the sort of like,
Oh yeah.
that sort of like take on this, and it's not that, again, to rush to judgment at 2 and say like, oh well, my kid was looking at dolls instead of trucks, this must be a transgender. I'm like, you need to be locked up. Stop it. You can't make this judgment. Let it play out for another 18 years before you even start talking about that bullshit. So yeah, that's the sort of thing where they talk about like, oh, this is just like left-handedism. It's like, actually it's not. And
No, it's not.
as a left-hander, you offend me.
You offend me.
I was never meant to be left-handed.
No.
No, that's not how it worked. The bottom line was, I continued to suck my thumb past an age where I learned to write, and so I had to learn to write with the available, hand.
Oh, okay. That's interesting. My daughter did that too, but she never swapped hands.
It wasn't even a question. It was like, well, I have one free hand, so this is what I have to use.
Yeah, no, I get that, man.
Was it any surprise later on? It's like, wow, this kid.
You never had braces though, did you?
Nope.
No, I didn't think so. Mm-mm. Yeah, most people who suck their thumb a little bit too long and wind up with braces. My daughter being a prime example of that. So
Those teeth looking a little bit messed up.
well, dude, the roof of her mouth was like a fucking tent. So that's what happens, especially if you do it at night.
That I didn't do. I didn't leave it in there overnight.
Oh, okay.
No, this was. Well, see, that's the thing here is, when you look at the things, you say like, oh, that's a weird thing that you did. It's like, was it? It's like, got a kid that loves to like eat things and chew things and smoke like, you sure you just want to hang this on like bad kid bad? But I understand this is a very different,
I haven't
universal
had a real
canvas.
cigarette in ages.
It's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine. No, man, it's the relics of a bygone era.
Kind of is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of is. I don't know. I've seen a little bit of resurgence in it. Just in terms of like, oh, that guy smokes. Interesting. I didn't know anybody still did that.
There is still a part of me that says he must be a pretty cool guy.
Yeah, exactly. That's not a vape pen, man. It's not that fucking car part that everything else suck on.
This thing that I
That
have
thing
here,
that you have right
yes,
there,
yes.
yes. So
Yes.
the Injector 3000.
That is correct. In fact, I had the compressor looked at, recently, and
Is this good for another 100,000 miles?
yeah, seals were a little bit loose.
Yeah, it's okay.
But,
It'll hold.
It's okay. Yeah, and they're doing great things with batteries now. It's not full diesel like it used to be.
Right,
It's fully electric now.
Not inhaling pure copper.
It's not hybrid. No, for real. It is weird. And again, like, and then you see it in movies and stuff like that, and it's immediately you're like, I remember this.
I remember those days.
So yeah, you guys were cool. Or there is a component of this. Or sometimes you're just watching a movie that's not from here, where they don't have that same attitude. If you read anything with French subtitles, there's going to be cigarettes in it. There's going to be
cigarettes, and there might even be cigarette holders. So
we should be so lucky.
So lucky.
Yes.
Those died out during the war.
Sorry, we had to melt all those down to make missiles, or whatever. Artillery.
To kill Nazis.
Yeah. No, I gotcha. But yeah, there are certain things that when it comes to like problematic changes, right? The chemicals thing that actually comes from the fire department, right? Where this is how they sort of started to pick up on some of the problems with chemicals that we're surrounded by is one of the dangers right now, because of things being made out of plastics and stuff, right, is that fires burn quicker and hotter than they ever used to. And they're finding that even with the seals and stuff on, right, the residue and things like that is impacting firefighters, and that's when they started realizing there may be something else going on in these.
Yeah. So the problem isn't with the water, though. The problem is with things that are burning, right?
Well, not necessarily the things that are burning, but the things that are present.
Yeah, okay.
They don't have to necessarily burn to be. The same thing that they're talking about here is the long-term effects of what cell phone usage.
Yeah. But it's not the same as it was before. I mean, when you hold your cell phone up to your face. So, like, I never do that anymore. It's either on speakerphone or, honestly, 9 times out of 10, the only time I'm actually on my phone is in my car.
In your car.
Yeah. And so, even when I call my mom, I mean, I put her on speakerphone. I put the phone right on my holder right here.
Right.
So, but it's one of those things where, I mean, I'm more worried about like eye damage over the long run because I've noticed like my vision is starting to go on certain things.
Oh my God.
So, especially like I broke my new glasses the other day. So these are my old ones. These ones are not progressives. Oh. I can't read shit.
Man, all right. This was the heartbreaker, man. Was they asked me if I wanted progressives on the new ones.
Yeah.
Right? I was like, do I need them? And they said, well,
you will.
Well, so here was the thing. It's like, well, you have a choice. It's like, what's my choice? It's like, you don't have a problem. It's that the glasses now that we've adjusted them, okay, now that they're, in the full lens, now they're designed for further away.
Right.
Which means if you try to look at something in those current glasses up close, they said, it's either going to take you longer to go ahead and flip over, or you got to take them off.
Yep.
Or you got to do the thing where, and God damn it, I hate doing this, where you sort of.
Oh yeah, I did that for a year wearing these glasses.
Where you're range finding.
Yeah, we have to range find. So, progressives work great. It's just like they're not. The transition is pretty clean between them, but it's not instantaneous. It still takes your eyes a minute to like acquire signal.
Makes sense because they're like, well, this is wrong.
Yeah, this is different. The world isn't shaped like an egg. Yeah.
Well, certainly is not.
But no, I've just noticed it lately. So this is not so good. But oh well.
But yeah, the certain things that they are talking about, like obviously plastics, I'm not going to fight. I know that there's
I'm not going to fight that either.
I think they're dealing with it. I think. The second thing is I think that if we're smart, we will be... we have to hit, basically, our next... some kind of, like, soft glass. Some kind of revolution in glass here where our containers, our bottles, and all this other shit, those need to be some kind of glass.
You go back to aluminum. That's fine.
Aluminum's fine.
You can melt that down and reuse it 1,000 times.
Absolutely. So, yeah. No, that's perfect. I mean, just the plastic bottle thing was a real fuck up.
Yeah. That's our fault, though.
It's
100% our fault.
And it is, well, actually, it's half our fault. The other half was, like, Coke making the switch and saying, you guys are responsible for this.
Yeah, they did.
So I get it.
I don't know. I try and use as little of it as possible. I mean, I always get the cans now.
Yeah.
Yeah, whenever, like, even, I mean, what do I actually, how much plastic do I actually consume? Probably not as much as the average household, to tell you the truth.
No way. No, because you don't drink pop.
Well, we do, but we do in aluminum cans.
Okay.
Always do it in cans.
Yeah, but you don't drink that much pop.
Oh, dude, it takes me a month to go through a case of Sprite.
That's what I'm talking about.
I only drink that when I'm thirsty as fuck, and it doesn't really cure your thirst. It just tastes good.
It's sort of like I'm sick for a Sprite. Yeah,
exactly.
It's like,
yes.
This is it, and I get that. But most families have cases of that shit around. So.
And the same thing with bottled water. So many people insist on using bottled. That is so retarded here in Colorado. So it is so ridiculous.
Ohio? Sure, no problem.
Okay, well, just fuck that. Get an RO filter. So
Also that.
yeah, I mean, you can hook. You got one on your sink right there.
I do.
Come on, man.
No, I do. Well, and again, I only say that in places like there because I saw what happens to the sink when you just let water run.
Yeah, it turns brown.
Well, it's not. I'm not just talking about turning brown. It's make a fucking like. It makes like stalactites and shit in your sink. I was like, okay,
yeah. Well, you'll still get a little bit of that here, depending on what I mean, so like, I mean, here you don't get too much of it. We got very hard water here, so you will get crusties on things, like a bathroom sink or something like that, over a long enough time. So.
But that's the thing is, you don't have to like. You can just give it a wipe; it'll be fine.
Yeah, there's nothing in there. It's just salt.
Right.
That's all it is.
Every now and then.
Yeah.
Right. It's in other places that I've seen. Was like, holy shit, this is all fucking cave minerals here.
Dude, in Nebraska, it was all that way.
Yeah.
And so you get a fucking green ring in your toilet bowl. So after a little while, so you just learn to flush the toilet. Like even if I was going to be gone for a couple days, I'd hit it once and then come back, and that's the first thing that I do after I came back, kind of thing. You cleaned it more often. So
Right.
Yeah.
Well, because I mean that's the other thing is those places also show signs of like that's fucked up earlier, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it was just that happens. So
now, as far the argument here, where I've seen different readings in terms of fluoride, and I'm like, all right, I get it. I would also accept the argument at this point where it's in your toothpaste.
it is in your toothpaste.
And that's as much as you need, it turns out.
It just depends on where you are. So, like here, you don't have to worry about fluoride at all because it's in the rock naturally. And so, in fact, the city here strains it out.
Right.
Because, like, if you go back like 100 years, everybody in this town would have brown teeth. So,
Yup.
they would be perfectly good teeth, but they would be brown. Because like that granite up there is just full of that shit.
Makes sense.
And that's where it comes from. So here they actually strain it out. So,
well, if you want to know what the water tastes like, they have that fountain down there in Manitou Springs, and
that's different. So that comes directly from the the pirate treasure in Cave of the Winds. So
if you want to taste it,
it is awful.
I mean, it's got some. It's kind of gamey, but
It's a little gamey.
yeah,
A little raw.
little bit. I mean, like you can taste the raccoon. It's in there a little bit, but yeah, it's there. But yeah, that's a weird thing for here, and again, it's the mountains. We have like the cleanest water you'll find. So,
Oh, especially in this town. This town right here is one of the few. Denver's kind of the same. So Pueblo is not the same. So, but just about all points west until you get to Salt Lake City, it's original source water. So
Right.
it's original source. None of the water here gets filtered in.
that shit ain't cut.
Other than just, what they have to do, because they have to get the bugs out of it.
Right.
So, because there are some nasty bugs you can get from the water up in the mountains. The Giardia is the bad one. That will make you shit for the rest of your life. So.
But they do have chemicals that will kill the shit out of that.
And we use those, yes. But just going down to Pueblo, you can taste the difference in the water. And then same thing in Denver. If you go just a little bit out east, the water's different. Like out at the airport, the water's different.
Is it?
Yeah, it is. So
Is there like an aquifer or something that they get it
Must
from
be.
out there?
I have no idea.
I know.
So I have no idea. That's the glycol that's seeped into the ground. It's got three-eyed fish in the pond. You know.
I listen. I don't know if they're like glycol, or you go to places it's like this is natural like menthol,
Yeah,
or
right, yeah.
Louisiana. You know,
Right? Yeah.
It's just like, why are you guys like so big on cools? It's like, well, that's why. It's we come from menthol water and we accept it in our smokuses. So
I'm in flavor country. You're worse than Hitler.
yeah, man, that's wacky. You know, but yeah, you're right. And then yeah, those places in the Midwest that I've seen where it's like this shit is fucked up, man. Like. And you're right to be concerned. I think there's a lot of things worthy of examination. Now, I don't know. I don't know what to say about chemtrails, Pat. I'm so. It seems so stupid.
It is. Bro, I worked in a hangar where we used to tear engines apart.
Okay.
What's supposed to be in there?
I don't know.
Okay, it's the simplest machine invented. Okay, it's an axle with blades attached to it.
Yeah.
Okay, and then it has a tube that gets narrower and then wider.
Okay.
And that's it.
All right.
It's got a little injector that injects fuel because as the air comes in, it compresses.
Yeah.
And then the fuel is mixed with it, and the pressure ignites.
Right.
I mean,
it is an internal combustion engine. Just high up in the air.
It's not even an internal combustion engine. It's simpler than that. You know?
Well, it's still combustion. I mean, let's.
Well, yeah, no, I know, but that the combustion is caused by pressure. It's not like the jet engine doesn't have fucking spark plugs.
Well, no. Right.
So
okay,
I mean,
right.
it's just. Like, I don't get that. I don't know why this has been resurfaced. I mean, I saw Jimmy Dore has been banging on this for like 2 weeks. I don't know why I still subscribe to that guy, but I mean, maybe it's just keep my finger on the crazy side. So
Yeah, that's exactly why. It's because you want to get your crazy from a dude who is overwhelmingly normal. You don't want to get your crazy for someone who's overwhelmingly crazy because that makes it all crazy.
okay, well, he's a comedian who smokes a shitload of pot and lives in San Bernardino, so
Right.
okay, that's about as much crazy as I can tolerate.
Exactly.
You know, but I mean, I don't know why this has come up in the last couple of weeks again, and over and over and over again. And I mean, it's the same thing every single time. You know, I mean, well, okay, this one all of a sudden has a contrail. When it did, it just okay. That happens all. When you think all the air is the same temperature everywhere, always really?
So like, isn't that a function of like atmosphere and temperature and like if it's hotter in here,
right,
coming out there? I mean, there are of course the arguments that say that there are intentionally things being put into the air that are designed to have various levels of mutating effects.
Cool.
You know.
Okay. Well, when I start growing a third eye, I'll let you know.
This is something I was like. This is like.
I'll be the first to admit I was wrong if that happens.
If it happens, it happens. I mean, it's just something that is so far beyond the realm of like. I don't know, man. Like if I can look at that shit from that kind of height, right? Mm-hmm. Being aware of what a part per million is, like if there were something in that trail, there's zero chance of it affecting me here.
Correct.
Zero.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing is people just don't realize how big Earth is.
It's pretty big.
It's pretty big.
It's not as big as Jupiter, and you're right.
No, it's not near as big as Jupiter, but it's still pretty fucking big.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you know, I don't get that one. I think honestly is because the election's been settled. Okay.
Yes.
You and I were talking about this the other day.
Yeah.
You know, guys in Podcastistan's right wing over there.
Yes.
They need to lean into more crazy because, quite honestly, I'm sorry, the blue tent is trashed. Okay, right now it is a smoldering dumpster fire. Okay, it's not really that interesting either anymore.
No.
Yeah, exactly. No. And so you got to come up with shit. You got to like redig up Alex Jones type shit now, in order to actually like generate content. I mean,
Well, the pathetic post-mortem is really what's fascinating about this. So you have a lot of people that what's the phrase? In times of trouble, you go with what you know.
Yeah.
Right? So there's a bunch of people that after the devastating losses in November, what they know is just basically glomming around like a fucking zombie, waiting for someone to kind of like usher them to where they need to go.
they need to be corralled up.
They're part of the number. They're not
Right.
the leader of a number. They're just part of that number.
No.
But the heads of this thing are so confused on what to do because they look at it and say like, you know what really fucked us over? You know what fucked us over? It's like, what's that? It's like, it was podcasting. And so you have like
Guilty as charged.
right. So you're like, so what do we get here? It's like we get the shittiest thing in the world from Gavin Newsom, in terms of like, well, I'm going to be like the Fair and Balanced podcast. I'm like, you're too stupid to do that.
No.
Yeah.
So there's this guy that I follow, and he's been going around asking people like, hey, you know, who's going to be Democrat up and coming? And everybody says Gavin Newsom, Gavin Newsom, Gavin Newsom. And he's like, I don't think so. He's like, I don't think that guy's heart's actually in it. So
I think
he's trying to figure out something new. So
I think he wouldn't mind. I think he'd enjoy being president, but he's not presidential material.
I don't think
he looks like it, but he is not.
I don't think anybody from California has a snowball's chance, and I think he's actually smart enough to know that. So
I mean, look, let's be fair.
I don't think he's a stupid
still
guy.
Polling higher than he is.
Yeah, I know.
And when they just polled people, you know, right now with that whole thing with that fake shit where they're like, oh, these people were regretting their votes. They've just polled everybody again and said like, okay, now it's been this long. Would you change anything if you did it over again? The answer was exactly the fucking same as it was when they voted.
Yep.
45 to 42.
Yep.
Right? And so, you know, that's the other thing. They're like, well, what if Michelle Obama has a podcast? I'm like, guys, this is not your. Let me help you. I was like, let me break things down for you here. You guys have a real identity crisis. Why? Because you cannot fight the establishment when you are the establishment.
Well, I mean, okay, so I don't know how much we can actually pin them being the establishment on them anymore. They've been outvoted.
Right.
Yeah, and I mean, they've been thoroughly... I don't... You don't really see it much in the news, but a lot of that shit's been rooted out of the bureaucracy.
Actively being... It's like it's happening now.
Yeah, but I think it's at the tail end of that. Mm-hmm. So to be really blunt with you, I think that was the whole idea behind Doge the entire time. It's not about saving fucking money. It's about getting assholes out.
I think that's absolutely a part of it.
I think that's the majority of it. You know, and that's why Musk is kind of backing away because now he's starting to realize he's like, "Oh, you're not going to let me cut that, are you?" No. He's like, "Did you get rid of the asshole?" He's like, "Yeah." He's like, "Good."
Well, look,
you've done good, man.
And to be fair, look, you and I have talked about this too. Labor is a big cost of overhead, probably the biggest.
Sure.
And so if you are rooting the assholes out, that's a good thing. But the other component here is when I say that you can't be the establishment and fight the establishment, the answer is you were just the establishment.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
And you still try to present yourselves as the anti-establishment. But people remember when you fucking locked them in their houses, right?
Oh, yeah.
And made up a whole bunch of shit.
Yep.
So...
No, people remember that very clearly. They will for probably at least one more election cycle.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I think your smarter Democrats realize that. This is why you're not going to see Jared Polis run. So even though I like him, and I think he'd do great, he's not going to run in well, he's not he's out of the governorship in 2026. Okay. So he's got full 2 years there, and I doubt that. Yeah, he's not going to do it because he's like, yeah, no. You know, it's just it's not a good time to actually be a governor who was in charge during COVID.
Right.
Regardless of what party you're from. So, because someone's going to throw rocks at your house. So, you know, at that point in time, and all those houses, 50 of them are made of glass. So I don't see that as being much of an issue. But I don't know, man. I mean, we'll see where they go with it. I saw, some stuff on the Twitter today about realignment bullshit and things like that. And then now apparently Democrats are, quote unquote, the party of free trade. I don't buy that. So, and Republicans are the party of free speech. I'm not quite sold on that one either. So, yeah.
We've been over this.
We have been over this. And so I just don't think there's neat definitions like that really work yet. And so it still needs another cycle or two to sort itself out. They're going to have to figure out they're going to have to come up with a new value proposition. What is it that you do for Americans that Republicans don't?
Right.
So the way to figure that out is to wait to find the thing that Republicans don't do, because I guarantee you they're going to fuck something up soon. Okay? You're starting to see the tent is starting to come apart by the stitches a little bit, i.e. chemtrails on one side. Well,
Well, this is the thing, is there's a lot of people right here, like, you and I talked about this before, like, what is the value of basically, like, the Epstein documents? Would have not been released, and they mentioned today there's no timetable for it, right? The problem here is not what's actually in the documents now. It's that you said they'd be out.
And now they're not out.
But they're not out, which means you either don't have them and you suck, or you're hiding something too.
Or there ain't that much to it, and...
Well, then you put it out and say, like, look...
See, that's what I would do in that situation.
And what you say is, like, this is what was left of them when we got to them.
Right.
Right? So I can't put out something that isn't there. I will always keep looking. But there's also a big part of this where there are a lot of people getting restless. Like, okay, so if you found this shit in the government, and you found that, this was from the other thing, if you found that organizations were charging, were renting out Caesar's Palace, why is nobody being arrested? There's an unrest.
What do you mean renting out Caesar's Palace for what?
There were like
I don't know about this.
This was new stuff. I only saw this shortly. They were talking about things they found in terms of like certain changes they made. One of the funniest one was I can't remember which government department was, but this was a place that basically had no oversight in terms of what they could charge. They started small.
It was MSHA.
Was it?
Oh, I'm guessing, but I'm probably right.
And so eventually they got to points where they were renting out Caesar's Palace and stadiums and stuff like this, right? And what they did was...
What, like boxes and stadiums or whole stadiums?
Whole stadiums.
For what?
For events.
Oh, okay.
Right?
But like hosting teams?
No, these were like for events. They're hosting events.
Oh, okay.
Right? Why you need that much space? Don't know. Same thing, and this was basically parties on the government's time. The thing that they said they changed was, we made one change. We said, you can, right, all you have to do is submit a receipt.
Oh, yeah.
And it stopped.
Oh, I'll guarantee it. Yeah, especially if it's audible. No, there was like two famous government agents. MSHA is one of them. That's the mine safety. Like the guys who are, and so like the mining industry would lavish them with like just bananas parties.
Gifts.
Yeah, exactly. And the same thing was true with like, they were the ones who had the big office up in Denver that was in charge of like, had something to do with drilling. I don't know exactly what it was.
Oh yeah, my company was very dirty about that.
Oh yeah, they were having like fucking hooker parties,
Oh, yeah.
on this a couple floors of this entire building in downtown
yeah.
Denver. So I'm not too surprised about that. But yeah, I mean, that should be easy stuff to root out. And again, that's just firing right assholes. Then that stops.
Yes.
Because you never know, someone who works for MSHA might actually want to help miners stay safe.
You know what? I think quite a few of them do.
I think so too. So yeah.
But yeah, I mean, when you look at this stuff, and if you do find, I will say that if you look at like another 15,000 people agreed to take the buyout, like when you when you see oversight, it's like, yes, this is exactly. People should be doing this constantly.
I know someone who took the buyout. So
there you go.
Yeah, he was like, yeah, you know what? I'm done working for the government. I'll take my money. So I'll go get a job in industry. He's like, I don't really need to be here. So he's like, cool.
Exactly.
So it's like I didn't really want to wait around another 20 years for my pension anyway. So
There you go.
Cool. There you go, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I asked him, I was like, was your job critical though? He's like, yeah. So he's like, but I'm overqualified for it. And he's like, okay, fine.
Somebody else will do it.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Somebody else will do it.
And I get it. And that's it doesn't mean that this government needs to be run like a business. I think we've all kind of like broken that down before.
I don't think you can run it like a business.
Well, it would be impossible.
It's got a different function. So businesses can go out of business. That's the difference.
Right.
Yeah. So, you have to run it more like an army.
I know. Yeah.
Yeah. You need to be able to arrest people if they decide to quit too early.
That's true. Yeah. There's a lot of stuff like that. There's I mean, there are components of it where you can say like, hey, we don't have the money for that. I can prove it to you. This is the number.
Yeah.
We can't do that.
We can't do that.
Right?
Yeah.
That's fine, because the Army can do that too. It's like,
yes.
We are out of artillery shells.
We need more.
Where do we get them? It's like, I don't know. Do you know how to make them?
Yeah.
No. So yeah, there is that bit of confusion, and I have no problem with that. But yeah, in terms of the disarray of what people are trying to cobble together, as far as the angry part of the right side that is like you're not doing enough of this, and then you have the completely discombobulated side of the left where it is we don't know who the leadership is, we are fighting battles that the American public fucking doesn't like, but we're dying on hills for this shit, and it's not gonna work. It's so stupid.
Yeah. I mean, that part of the left is always the squeaky wheel, though.
I know.
I know, man. So, and everybody always thinks it's way bigger than it is. It's not.
No.
It's tiny. So.
No, it's basically it's Reddit sized in terms of.
It is Reddit sized. You're absolutely correct, because all them fuckers are on Reddit. So
Correct.
Yeah.
And these are the people who are like. These are the people who are just kind of like, well, it's just like, so I didn't buy Coke today. I fought fascism. It's like, good for you. Okay, it's like.
Wait, is Coke fascist now?
I think that's one of the things on the list of, if you buy it, you support Israel.
Well, I'll buy your Coke for you, buddy. Yeah.
There is a list of shit that is like, if you buy this, like Dr. Pepper and other things, it's like this you're supporting.
I think I saw an ad or something along those lines. I don't know if it was an ad. It might have been like one of them tweets where you scroll through it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or something. It might have been video. I can't remember. But it was like every company. It was like,
right.
Yeah, okay, fine. I'll I guess, am I allowed to buy eggs?
It's like, well, if it's every company,
yeah,
there's not too much I can do about
it.
Yeah,
exactly. So if they're all a problem, then none of them are a problem.
Exactly. Yeah, it's the same thing. It's just like, well, Chick-fil-A's not on the list, but they're on the list for other shit.
Other shit, yeah.
Like,
So
okay,
yeah,
all right. Like my personal beef was, that you can't go there on Sunday and watch football. Right. Buy food and watch football. But they have this principle where they close down on that day.
Right,
and
everybody gets Sunday off. Yeah.
Which is amazing.
Yeah. I don't know about their ownership structure, but hopefully that holds.
Well, I mean, I think that's cool. And this is another one of those things I talk about with people who lived in other countries and stuff like this, where the number of hours that the average city is open, and the days that they're open, and the holidays that everything is open,
it's way less, is
fucking like heresy in most other places. Like, well, everything like this closes at 5.
Yes.
These things stay open until 8.
Yes.
These bars and restaurants stay open until midnight.
Right.
That's it.
And the train shut off at midnight 01. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And so there's this question of like, so when do you, like, McDonald's closes at 8? At 8. But what if you're hungry at 2?
You starve.
Right. Right.
Yeah, I hope you stopped at the grocery store, which closed at 5.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
No, I've had that discussion with like a lot of my European students. They
Baffled.
They're like, oh my god, I can get like fast food on Sunday, or like, well, yeah, except for this one place that you really want to go to.
Right.
They're like,
Right.
but all the others, yeah, they're up.
Right. You can get Chick-fil-A 6, everything else 7.
Everything else 7.
Yeah.
And they're absolutely flummoxed by that. The same thing, gas stations open 24 hours a day. You can go
Crazy.
to 7-Eleven. Yeah, it's like
Yes.
heresy, kind of thing.
And there's this thing, and they're right. It was like, well, when do you see your families? It's like, well, there's this crossover between like 5 and 7 p.m.
Yeah.
And
Sometimes we eat dinner together. Otherwise, there's Christmas.
This is coming from a guy that worked every Christmas
Ever. Yeah.
For a long time there. But yeah, that's it. The holidays too.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. And I get there's a part of me that says like, you know what? There is something cool to that structure of like everybody's off, right? Everybody goes and does stuff, but I weigh it against.
I don't.
McDonald's too.
Yeah, no, it's not just the McDonald's too. It's kind of like, if you can do it and if it makes money, go ahead and do it.
Right.
That's fine. All right, we're not going to make you like. That's the whole thing like blue laws, like you can't buy beer on Sunday and stuff like that. It's that forced morality that just doesn't work. And I mean, so like even going into the thing where it's like, well, Saturday is family day, so you have to go spend time with. It's like, no, I don't like you telling me that I don't like those words "have to." We have things called laws. I have to obey those. So
Right. Right.
I don't want you legislating like how I kind of go about my life. I prefer that you leave that to me.
Hey man, I got you. I mean, like the very idea that places have essentially like religious courts within our society, I find actually offensive.
That's horrifying. Yeah.
I mean,
that's horrifying.
This is one of the things they joke about in the UK, where like there's now like a quarter as many Sharia courts as there are like regular courts.
Is that actually true? I've heard that. I've heard other people say like, yeah, but like if the actual police come and arrest you, that's what matters.
Well, right. But this is to me this is sort of like the very nature of this is like, I don't give a fuck about those laws. I don't vote for those laws.
No.
Right?
No.
So don't fucking follow them. Burn these things to the ground. These are the laws I want you to care about.
Well, I guess I wouldn't have a problem with them having courts like that as long as they had no legal enforceable authority. So
I do, because the problem here is that it enforces a sort of like, let's say, for example, that your stupid Sharia court has different views about women than the rest of the regular society, right? Not to the point where it's necessarily illegal, but it's goddamn harmful to the community.
Yeah.
Right? So, like, stupid shit like this, I'm like, no, man, when you come here, these are the laws you follow.
Yeah, no, I got you on that. I guess it's just, like, there's nothing making those people be Muslim. So
Other Muslims.
Well, I know, it's just... But you're in a country where you can walk away from that shit if you want to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
It's.
I guess I see like if I lived in a community that had a mosque that had a Sharia court.
Yes.
And if it came to me and said you need to unplug your fridge on Sundays or whatever, then we'd have a fucking problem.
Right.
Okay, but if my neighbor is Muslim and they abide by that court, okay, that's fine, but that doesn't mean he gets to drive on the other side of the street.
That's correct.
Because they say so.
Yes.
Okay, fine. So you belong to some
Right.
weird thing. It's like Jehovah's Witnesses or something like that. You guys have your own little rules. That's fine. But I mean, when it comes down to it, if that's still if that's an opt-in system, and maybe it's not, I don't know. So,
I get it.
But if they turn around and they say, okay, Sharia law says that you plugged in your fridge on Saturday, so we get to beat you. Well, that's illegal under the actual law, so those guys should be arrested.
I agree.
Okay.
Look, I totally understand that, but that also means this is... When you have that kind of shit, that's how you have them putting up the fucking squawk boxes that go off 5 times a day. Like, that should never be happening, man.
Oh, I don't know, mean, but that should be in that neighborhood, kind of thing.
Fuck that, no, because like regular ass other people live there too, and they shouldn't be subjected to that shit.
No, they shouldn't be subjected to that, but I mean, okay, so fucking call the police on those guys for a noise ordinance.
They try.
Oh, look, but okay, the fact that the British don't enforce their laws, that's a different issue.
Yeah, that's a different
That's
story.
a different
right,
issue.
Yeah,
okay,
right.
so, because, oh my God, we don't want to be seen as being racist. You guys, like, basically invented some of that shit.
Right, exactly. No, it's...
I
totally
so, I mean, we got a little bit of, like, German flagellation going on here. It's like, oh, we were Nazis once, and so we must be extra accommodating, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, actually, no, you don't. Those guys are all dead.
Guys are all dead.
Those guys are all dead.
It is not on the estate of William Shakespeare to say that, oh, you heard this too.
Yes.
Where they're trying to say we need to separate this from its colonial roots. I'm like, you know what? Fuck you.
Fuck off.
Fuck.
Yeah.
This is and you're right. And this whole thing where like, well, we had a hand in colonizing. I'm like, so did everyone.
Yeah. Okay.
Everyone.
Yeah. Everyone. Yeah.
You guys were good at it.
Right. Yeah.
That doesn't mean that you were wrong. It just means that the time was wrong. That's why nobody like
you had guns, and
Wait, absolutely. This is why we talk about like in there's like two sets of history. There's history and then history after indoor plumbing, and we don't even. I'm not kidding. You and I both know that. It's like
yeah.
When people start talking that shit about like oh well you'd be great in the Roman era. It's like sort of because they have toilets, sort of, but not really toilets.
No,
it's just a hole over a running water.
Yeah,
right. But that's not a toilet.
That's not really a toilet, and it just goes right into the river. Yeah,
still pooping in the river. It's just.
Just doing so with a little bit of privacy.
A little bit of privacy and sitting on something ornate. That does not make it a toilet. And so, I mean, that's the thing I'm talking about here is like, we hit two different levels of like civilization. And there's a lot of stuff where like, yeah, that was fucked up. That was fucked up. This is still fucked up, right? There's this kind of stuff and say like, you guys still haven't invented a wheel. The ones that you find, you put around people and start on fire. Like, fuck off. You don't get a seat at this table. Right? There are certain places, there are certain continents in this on this planet where it's like, you guys have not figured this out. And we can't help you.
Continents?
Yes. Well, okay, shall we say sub-Saharan parts of those continents. That
I don't know, man. That's a story that a lot of people just don't know that much about. So I've had new perspectives on like Nigeria lately and stuff like that. It's actually a lot nicer than people think it is.
It's nicer.
But that's the biggest country there.
Well, look, it's nicer.
Yeah.
But that doesn't make it nice. I mean, this is the thing.
I guess it's getting nice. We'll put it that way.
Right.
And so, I mean, like, okay, fine. It's going in the right direction. It's not all Somalia and jumping on the blades of the helicopter, kind of thing.
That's true. That is true. Yes.
So, and other parts of it are in shittifying. So, okay, fine. Whatever. I don't know, man.
But the numerous attempts to intervene have largely been unsuccessful.
No, and we can't keep doing that. So I think we're all kind of in agreement on that one.
Well, no, China just gave it a try.
Oh yeah, no, I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about us.
All right.
Yeah, no. They're going to try and make money wherever they can. I get that.
Right.
So but they're going to learn the same thing. Whatever.
Right. I mean, here's the thing is this is sort of the Ukraine situation where you have that group of fucking dumbasses that are like, we should be there on the ground with them. I was like, no, we should not.
No, we're not going to. No, we're not. And there's no way we're going to do that. We've gotten to the point in time where Donald Trump's like, yeah, I'll sell you Patriot missiles. Cool. So here you guys go.
Sell.
Well, that's fine.
Right.
Okay. Do you think Vladimir Putin likes that?
No.
So, do you think we're going to charge him full price for those?
This. Well, I like that idea.
You
It's
might
like,
put it on delayed deferment, Jeff. You might have a
sure,
note.
sure. Well, especially if you turn around and it's like, so we signed this new minerals deal. You can pay us some minerals.
Yeah, once
when
we
we
take
get there.
Donbass back.
Right. I mean, I kind of like that idea of like, look, we'll sell you these missiles. Like, just don't tell us who you're going to shoot them at. It's not our business, right?
Yeah. Except for they need GPS to operate. So we'll know.
That's just part of the software, dog.
Right, yeah, we don't have to check the logs.
It's cool. That's not part of the... You're just buying, man.
Right.
Shoot them at what you want.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's just like this collective part. I'm like, so let me get this straight. So you were opposed for us intervening here and here and here and here, but you want us to intervene here because now this is a good idea.
Yeah, so again, the only reason why the Democrats are on that side of thing is because Joe Biden beat everybody to it.
That's it.
Yeah, if Joe Biden had said, no, we're not going to help Ukraine, fucking Donald Trump would have run, we're going to send him every last fucking piece of hardware we can. And he would have won.
Right.
With that. You know, it's just a historical fluke. Because you happen to have a freaking melty brain president, you know, who is ostensibly associated with the left. And so, you know, I mean, because otherwise, yeah, the consistency would be across the board. No Iraq, no Afghanistan, no Israel, you know.
Nope.
No Ukraine. So they would have done that if he hadn't done that.
Right.
Yeah. So it just kind of shows that, okay, that 8% of the American electorate that's really outspoken about that just doesn't fucking matter.
You know, that's a good point.
All they do is swing on the other side of the swing. That's all they do. So, yeah, that's it.
Now, I do think that I do believe that there is some party shifting going on.
Totally.
And I don't think it's... The things that I think that people think are sort of influencing that badly, I don't think they are. I think there's a lot of people looking at like the Palestine-Israel thing. I'm like, no. These people this is a single issue thing, right? This is like there's no crossover of this where this ideologically fits with either side.
What, Israel?
Or Palestine. There's no version of this where you're like,
I disagree.
Where you say, like, standing up for Palestine also coincides with, say, LGBTQ.
Oh, yeah, no. I was thinking that you said neither side had moral standing on that.
Oh, no. I mean,
yeah,
in
okay,
terms
because
of...
I'm about to say, on the right-hand side, it's like basically bulldozing the sea. I think most people are on board with that.
Yeah. I think a lot of people don't say it.
I don't think a lot of people say it, but I think most people feel that way.
Like, I say it.
Yeah, I say it too.
Right.
You know, but it
right.
comes... And Israel just called up the reserve army again. They're going to go hit them again. So, have at it, dude.
Hey, man. Fucking Houthis hit him with a fucking missile.
Yeah, okay.
They did.
Yeah, I know, but those guys are far, and Israel doesn't have a navy.
They are far. Well,
I don't want them using our navy.
Well, that's exactly. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, can we borrow this for this weekend? It's
No, don't touch the boats.
We need borrow.
We need borrow.
It's like, you're not going to bring this back with a full tank of gas and all the shit that was in it. It's because you can't stop at fucking 7-Eleven and put the missiles back
You
on
fucking
it.
touch my Mentos, man.
Yeah. Get in here, change all the fucking radio stations and shit. Fuck you.
Yeah, exactly. Is this a link to your phone now? What the fuck?
This won't even Bluetooth back to my phone now. What the fuck did you do? Yeah.
What is it, kilometers?
Yeah, you're not wrong. I mean, there's some like stupid things going on, but yeah, like.
No, I think he's made it very clear about what he's going to do on some of these things. You know, they just actually boosted military spending by almost $250 billion.
I did not expect that.
I kind of did.
Did you?
Yeah,
Why?
because they're spending it on boats in the Marine Corps. So we're going that way, Jeff.
For those of you who are
I was pointing towards the west.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
What's in the West?
China.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So it's like $250 million alone in that to refurbish airstrips that were used in World War II.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why?
Because China.
That's all there is to it. Yeah.
That's all there is to it, man. So it's Reagan 2.0, except for instead of the Soviet Union, we're going to beef up and we're going to show the Chinese that don't do that. We're going to put more cops across the street from the bank.
Bruh, you know what? I gotta tell you, I think I'm seeing the full strategy on this now, and I think that ties into it.
I absolutely guarantee it.
If you have been I have been following some more guys that are on the ground in that place right now, and that place is a fucking shit show.
What, China?
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, it is ugly. Like, shit that would not fly like a year ago.
Yeah.
Like, banners are up. Like, they're actually like full on blown anti Xi Jinping, demonstrations and shit.
Really? And they're not getting burnt down?
No. No.
I didn't see the China guys talking about that this week.
They talked about some other stuff. They're not wrong. I mean, but the stuff that's happening right now, because it all comes down to that two-step process of, like, they were already hurting from their, like, the more that I see the math on their housing, what do you call it? The mortgage, the empty homes, the whatever you want to call it.
Ghost cities.
The ghost city situation. Like, it seems as though that was a big enough problem as is.
That's an enormous problem.
Enormous problem, but compounded with the fact that, and they were breaking it down, like, factories are shut. Factories are shut. And the few people that were working, like in that youth crowd, they're out. Right?
Yeah, they go back to their village because they got the hukou system and there ain't no jobs. So
this shit is like,
you can go live in your concrete pad, I guess.
And this is sort of like the stuff they were talking about. I'm like, all right, so if you do that, then you also kind of like squeeze in the area and just say, like, yeah, we're here.
Right.
So whatever you're thinking of doing, like, don't try it, right?
I think that's the whole idea. The whole idea is to escalate. Well, not escalate, but just put more fucking dudes on the map over there.
Right.
So that they, that just doesn't become a viable option even more so. So.
Yeah.
But and I memean, some of that is, of course, replenishing stocks that we sent to Ukraine too. But
makes sense.
Yeah, but then just a couple months ago, Hegseth went through and said, "Hey, we're going to make an 8% cut." Okay, so they make an 8% cut in some personnel offices and stuff like that. Okay, and they did actually shuttle some dudes around Europe a little bit, But now they're like, "Oh no, actually, you know what? We're going to do this. We're going to build more Navy." So, and a little bit more Marine Corps. So, and fix up them air bases that are full of vines now.
Right.
So, put some missiles on them.
You go to all those places where they were working on those strange problems. Like you go to you flip the big switch, and you see all the the experimental robot dinosaurs and shit.
Oh yeah, I forgot about these.
They all have weird names like Project Fruit Loops and shit. Like fucking
Project Bam Bam.
Yeah, I mean it's again, it makes sense. Like there's the problem here, and I think everybody and they're right to do so. In what seemed like a bunch of almost like I said last week, it was like the dollar bill on a string, right? Like. There's a lot of people who just saw that and there must be there's just an idiot at the helm. And there could be something to that, but there's also a lot of I think he's trying everything. So much to the point that some things contradict the things that he's trying. But I think China I hate to say I think Xi Jinping is going to be out.
I don't know, man.
I do.
We'll see. I hope you're right.
Because that's what.
But that depends on who you get next, man. Yeah. And I don't know. So will he outlast Donald Trump? I don't know. Maybe. He won't outlast Donald Trump and JD Vance. If that trends the way that it's trending, unless he gets caught, fucking nudie pics with some girls in a locker room, then he's pretty good at the moment. He's got 3.5 years to fuck it up, but
It's weird. Again, this does not
It's
feel
too
like
long,
this has
man.
only been 100-something days.
no, that's because he's moved fast, man. And,
Yeah.
and he's banked a couple pretty good wins right off the bat. The border is a huge one. So much
Oh
so that
my
they can't
God.
even fucking talk about it. Even Fox doesn't talk about it anymore. And so, it's just like, really? That's all it took was one guy to say, no, we're going to send you back. And then all of a sudden it's like crickets on the border. What the fuck? Really?
Right, when they say, like, borders are crossing down to, and now they're just using, like, first names. Well, it was Bob.
Yeah, it was Bob.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, we've seen his
Yeah,
ass
we've
before.
seen his
We
ass
said,
before.
all right, Bob, we see
All
you.
right,
It's
we
like,
see
come back
you.
around, okay?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, the fact that it's down to fucking single digits in some places is insane.
It's crazy.
It's an insult
Yeah.
to this country, in terms of what...
Hey, man, I think you should just bank the win. So,
Oh, I agree.
Yeah,
It's
just
like...
bank the win, man. And I think that's what he's doing on it. And then like some of the other stuff that he's trying. Everybody was scurrying around worrying about Doge for a little while. Meanwhile, what is he doing? He's, gearing up for all these trade negotiations. So, he's doing things. Yeah, and so I think he's actually got a little time to think a little bit longer term now, and I think he is. So, and the fact that we get the same, like, oh, he's not obeying the Constitution arguments that we always get. It's kind of like, yeah, you got your opposition right where you want them, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're all in the penalty box at this moment. All of them. There's not any serious opposition.
No, the
No.
only dude that's filing fucking articles of impeachment. You saw him.
No, I didn't see him, but
Oh,
I'm sure he's a
God.
lunatic.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
Just go. You'll see the picture. You'll know.
Is he a congressman or?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But that's the thing is we could mail you the wig and the makeup, but you have to put it on. And
We're not going to send you a guy to help you.
you'll see what I'm talking about, and the basis for it is so absolutely like spurious. I'm like, all right, yeah, this is the kind of stuff where you say, like, what do you, okay, stepping on the Constitution. I'm like, how? Right? There's this component where it's not as though he hasn't disobeyed anything from the Constitution, right? You can argue that things are unconstitutional.
Sure.
Right? That's fine. They do that with presidents. They do that, all the time.
All the time.
That's okay.
That's the new normal.
It's just a question of when they rule on it, if the person says, well, me and the general of the army say that we're going to do it this way. And if you don't like it, you know my address. Come find me.
Well, they're not going to do it that way.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
They're not
And
going to do it that way.
yeah. 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. Fucker, I'll see you out front. Right?
It's
Doesn't
not
work
gonna-
that
no,
way.
it's not going to happen.
No.
Yeah.
So this is the same. It doesn't matter who's in charge. The argument remains the same. It's just it's like, well, your interpretation. This goes like the
Well, there's some fundamental shit that's actually broke with the Constitution, man. And so, fine. Argue on that. Fix it.
what needs fixing.
Number one thing that I would say that you would fix within the federal government is, oh my gosh, probably we need to go back to the standard that if you're going to bomb somebody, you need to declare war on them.
That is kind of where
Because that one's already in there, Yeah.
It's supposed to require an act of Congress. Yes.
Correct.
Yes.
So, but Congress got around that because of Iraq.
Well, we've had police actions before.
Well,
Yes.
yeah. So Truman was the first guy to do it, and he later said he regretted that. And then we've just kind of done that way ever since, because ever since we had nuclear weapons, because then war means you're getting the stick, kind of thing.
Right.
So we don't really
Right.
call it war,
Right.
Because you're not getting that stick,
So it doesn't make sense.
I guess
That doesn't make it right.
No, it doesn't make it right, and it gets us into trouble, because administrations come and go, and they, you get in a seat of power like that, you got to kind of empathize with the president a little bit, no matter who he is. It's
Right.
like, bro, you actually have a chance to do some good here, or whatever, make a difference, yada yada.
Well, listen, as far as I'm concerned, there's a number of things in terms of like government surveillance that said they were supposed to go away and are still in place.
Still there. Yep.
Right?
FISA courts. Yeah.
There is that. I mean, we talked about...
yeah, that's someone I haven't heard a peep from is Tulsi Gabbard about that shit. So...
I don't think you will.
Is she changing things?
I don't.
Or did she like all of a sudden realize it's like, wow, this is really cool?
That's sort of what... So again, battle not with monsters, lest you become a monster.
Oh, right, yeah.
Because what happens when you stare into the abyss?
I know that guy.
Yeah, you know it.
Nazi motherfucker.
I know.
Yeah.
All right, look, he didn't say per se. It's like...
He meant it, though.
He didn't say like... So check it out. There are these guys.
There's these guys.
Been kicked out of a lot of fucking countries.
Great ideas, man.
Right. Well, no, it's like, so here's the problem.
Very
man.
sharp dressers.
Yeah, so I think there's... Because you do see her pop up every now and then, but she is not... it's concerning how relaxed she is when she speaks, right? She talks like she's an adult in the room now, and there should still be things like... Within that department, she should still be coming out there with like a handful of files and saying, look at the bullshit I found. Right?
You know, and if there's anybody who could barf up the Epstein files, you think it'd be her in some respects?
I think if it were her job to do it, it'd already be done.
I don't know about that, Jeff, just because I think, like, I don't actually think there's anything left in the Epstein files with the exception of, like, involvement with the Mossad.
Yes.
I think that's probably the hardest one to dismiss. So, but I can also see why if I was the president, I wouldn't actually have that out.
Right.
Right. I don't know if that's a good decision, but...
So what do you do? I mean, this is the thing is
because we already know about Bill Gates and Bill Clinton, and probably Alan Dershowitz, who was Trump's attorney for a while. You know?
I'm going to level to you. I don't think Trump went.
I don't think he did. No, I don't think he ever went to the island.
No,
I think he's 100% honest when he says, "I thought that guy was creepy." So, you know, and if that guy calls that guy creepy, that guy's really creepy.
Right.
You know?
Right. Yeah.
So there you go. And so it's just like, I don't think there's that much. I mean, you're going to find Steven Spielberg in there? Maybe. I doubt it. You know, I mean, come on, man. I mean,
possibly.
That's East Coast stuff. You know, I mean, like, we got our own West Coast volcano still erupting out there.
Well, okay.
So,
look.
you know,
So listen. Okay. So there's. It comes down to like you have two different rackets, okay? So I imagine for a long time you did have plenty of West Coast people making that trip, right? But then every now and then you have this dude. It's kind of like, well, you know, I have this record label, and you know, I don't really want to record anymore. And here's the thing: businessmen find a need, right? They see a need, and there needs to be a West Coast Epstein. And I'm going to be...
That's PD. Yeah,
that's correct. Yeah, and so it's like...
He's going to have much cooler parties.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
So he saw the opportunity, and...
Yeah, but I just don't think the market is that big. I think we've been fed this bullshit line by, like, Hollywood and TV, that there's, like, these humongous networks of, like, America's top 100 powerful people, 99 of them are involved in this shit. I don't think that's true.
99? I would say...
I'd say 5.
I'd say 12.
I'd say less than 5. So I'd say on a 20-sided dice, that's a straight up 20. So, you know, like, okay, so that's still a lot of people.
It's still a lot of people.
It's still a lot of people, but I mean, I don't think Epstein's network was much bigger than, yeah, I mean, it might go down to like mid-level businessmen who do shit with like Lockheed Martin or something. I don't know, you know, but I don't think you're going to kill off another president with it.
I don't.
I mean, like senators, what you get like 2?
Again, if my argument is that every 12 out of 100, then yeah, you get a bunch of people, right?
Yeah, I don't think it's that high.
You know what? I'm going to tell you. I'll tell you the rates that I think it is. All right, so in the same rates that you get school teachers fucking around with children.
Okay, that's about 1 in, yeah.
Right? Because, I mean, it's
not 1 in 10.
It's not 1 in 10.
No, it's not 1 in 10. I mean,
I'd say it's more than 5, but less than 10, right?
Out of how many? Out of 100?
Yeah.
More than 5? Okay, yeah, all right.
Somewhere between 5 and 10, I think I'm
Are
comfortable.
pedophiles?
No, I'm not saying pedo. This is the problem.
See,
okay.
this is the yeah.
By definition, yes, it is, right? But you do have, there's there's a lot of kids. You'd be surprised how many people later on in life would say, oh, I had a thing with my teacher, right? It's not,
Yeah.
I don't want to say it's super common, but there are a lot of girls that say they did that. There are a lot of guys that say that they did that, right? And all I'm saying here is, I imagine roughly in that same percentage is the same kind of people who would use those kind of services because regular shit ain't enough for you.
Possibly. Yeah.
And if you have access to it, that's...
Yeah. But I mean, the other thing is that involves a high level of risk at that point in time that like a local level school teacher doesn't have. You know.
Well, in theory, a local level school teacher should be way more at risk. Especially in terms of the shit that
but
you
not
sign.
in practice.
Yeah,
I mean, in practice, like a senator is at way more risk because you got a lot more people watching.
You do, but again...
And you get a much higher incentive to blow the whistle on that guy. So, if you know what's going on.
You know what? I get it, but then how do you get fucking Anthony Wieners and stuff? I mean, this is... like...
Well, that's true, but there's one.
But I'm talking about dudes that have had so many bites at the apple. It's like, dude... fucking knock it off with that shit. You know you're no good.
Yeah, I would say that it's more common that they have affairs than they go to Epstein Island, though. So, because that's all that Anthony Weiner really did.
Well,
I mean, he's creepy as fuck, but yeah,
there's
sure.
also the allegations that there were, underage people.
So
that goes beyond a fair territory.
Yeah, okay.
And,
but I would call him a little bit more of an outlier. So, I mean, he would like Carlos Danger. Come on, dude. Obviously, he's not playing with full deck.
His credentials say that he is.
His credentials said that he was. Yeah, that's true. So he almost became, the DNC chairman or something?
Correct. I mean, this is... hey, man, this is more to the point. This argues more the point that credentials do not dictate behavior.
No, they don't. I'm not
at all.
saying that
No.
they do. I'm saying that they influence behavior. So, especially if you're like getting high up there,
Right.
you're like a top 5 or 10 contender for, higher office. I mean, look how many guys have gotten scorched over the years for stupid bullshit. You're playing a really dangerous game.
You are.
Donald Trump's the only guy who's like, I got so much shit in my closet, you can dig through it.
Well, to his point, it's kind of like, well, the other component is from his like, well, I didn't really have a closet. I did it all out in front of everyone.
I did it in front of everybody.
I wasn't embarrassed.
No, that's just who I am, man.
Right.
Yeah.
It just wasn't illegal when I was doing it back then.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know, man. But like the Epstein thing, I think it's going to be more like the JFK thing. So, I saw everybody was buzzing around like crazy the last couple of weeks, and now it's crickets on that.
Well,
it's kind of like, well, here's all the documents you wanted. Here's all the unredacted parts. It's like, oh, it's just names.
Which is interesting. Don't get me wrong.
I get that, man. But I mean, you're just talking about names of bureaucrats and stuff like that who actually passed off files and social security numbers. That's why they blacked it out.
Understood.
And it's like, okay.
Well, again, this is the kind of thing where what would you have to see in those files to make it interesting that fucking 50 plus years of conjecture is going to live up to?
I don't think you can. I mean, other than the fact that you have a direct order from like fucking J. Edgar Hoover to plug the president.
Because he'd write that on a piece of paper.
My point.
On his own letter.
Yeah,
It's like, from the office of J. Edgar Hoover.
He's like, here, can you notarize this?
Plug this man. Sincerely, J. Edgar.
J. Edgar, yeah.
Smiley face, right?
Right, he had one of those signatures.
100.
It's got the little heart over the J.
It's got glasses. And, it's the J, yeah.
The J's an umbrella.
Yeah. Now, if I saw that shit, we're like, there are things about this government I never expected to be true, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the kind of shit that would be so crazy that you'd have to jump out and say, like, at this point, because the layers of made up shit to it, right? They'll never match the legend.
Oh no, it can't match the legend anymore, which is, I don't know, that's kind of unfortunate, but
that being said, to flip it around, like, again, with this administration, the dude is on TV every day.
Every day.
He just, like, I can't believe that, especially in comparison. It's like, well, I do my
He's
work
on
here.
TV more now than he was in the previous administration.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's brilliant. It's like, well, I do my work in here. If y'all want to sit here and ask me questions while I sign stuff, it's like, fine. Like, you know, from like 1 to 3, I'm going to play like Candy Crush. You can like ask me questions and shit.
Pew, pew, pew.
Right. I've earned the right to do this, you know, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's the crazy transparency on this is wild. The things they try to keep...
it's nice. It's refreshing. So,
you know, the things they try to keep, like, sticking on, it's like, oh, you tried to chase out this reporter. It's like, you know what? Fuck them. I would too. Like, be respectful or get out.
well, and the funny thing is, then he invites him back a week later.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like, oh, he kicked out the AP. It's like, they're on the list.
Which means they put you in timeout.
Yeah, you got put in timeout, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
Because,
Not out. Yeah.
Because, yeah, you asked your question like a bitch hole. You got exposed for this. They asked you to leave. You came back.
He did that to that guy who was interviewing him the other night.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't even watch that. I just saw the clips. And it's funny now because you don't get the clips anymore where it's like, oh my God, you know, he's fucking petty tyrant, blah, blah, blah. You get the ones where he dunks on the reporter. You know? It's like, well, I don't trust you. Come in here and ask me rude questions. The top clip that came out of that fucking thing, even on the liberal media. You know, so...
I know. I find it absolutely amazing. And I mean, you know, again, there's a lot of this where, and I guess I was a little bit wrong on this because I remember that my version of the new republicanism was going to be guys in suits. We're above this.
No, not quite.
Now, the thing is, that could be J.D. Vance, right?
Maybe.
Because, again, I think that dude is... Again, that performance at the VP debate kind of cemented, I'm like, oh my God, this dude is... This is a contract killer.
He's pretty lethal.
Yeah. And they put out this...
This hit. Yeah.
They put out this flamboyant femme, Elmer Fudd, out there on the stage... and said, this is the definition of masculinity.
Jeff, you didn't shoot a moo cow. Kind of.
And he buried him. And I was like, Jesus Christ, this is a lethal person. But that person, yes, that could be the suit-wearing professional. Let's have some dignity kind of.
He might be. I mean... We're just going to have to see, man. There's a lot of time. And quite honestly, there's just so many other things that could happen between now and then. I mean, it'll take months to figure out what's going on with tariffs. It will take months.
Right.
So, because, you know, people are putting in orders now for next quarter, let alone the fall.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, the market doesn't seem too spooked about it. Neither does Bitcoin. So, you know, I mean, it's just one of those things where it's like, all right, everybody's like kind of like, cool, let's see what happens, you know. I mean, there's some people who are freaking out about it, but those are people like, I mean, CNBC all week had these sob stories about these dudes. You know, I was like, oh, I started up my plastic dildo company, and I have this giant order, and now it's going to cost me 85% more. I'm going to have to pass it on to my customers. I was like, no, you're not. They're not going to buy your fucking dildos, you know. You know? So come up with a new business. You know, and it's just it's like, and I mean the slew of economists, many guys I respect, you know, who are just like screaming bloody murder right now. It's like, all right, guys, chill out with this stuff. I know how the graphs work in the book. You're right about this, moving this, and then this, you know, establishing new equilibrium. But you're not thinking like a business person. And he is. So, you know,
Which is what you guys are supposed to be
No,
doing.
that's not what economists do, man. Economists, you know, are about principles. Okay? It's the principle of, free trade, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
Okay? You know, all boats rise in a flood, yada, yada, you know, kind of thing. And they're right, about that, but not when the boat is actively sinking because we're shipping our country's wealth overseas. You know,
Right.
and it's not about trade imbalance either. A lot of people have been pointing to that. That's trade imbalance is fine, okay, as long as there's commensurate return of value. You know, and that's just not happening when they steal the IP.
That yes, and again, that's the kind of thing that you have to get on board and defend.
Correct.
If you're against it, again,
Yeah.
it's a losing proposition.
No, it's almost impossible. Oh, I've seen a couple guys try and do it. We're like, well, you know, after a couple years, you know, the competition would catch up to the IP anyway, and so blah. It was like, yeah, but like, would Apple be a thing if it had like, you know, open source the iPhone for the first 3 years it was out? Well, no. So, you know, I mean, you have to think about this in terms of like, you know, just in terms of business itself. It's like you have to have oxygen for your business to survive.
Right.
Okay. And if that means you have to put a lid on it for a little bit, okay, that's good thing, you know, and that's just one thing that I think a lot of the economists don't fundamentally get. They should. You're right. They should, but that's the thing is most economists don't actually study business. They study the economy. So,
Oh, that's a good point.
you know,
It seems odd that you'd have to say that, but I think you're right. Well, I mean, there are certain, like again with that sort of like IP thing, you know, and they talk about like, oh no, this is good for, you know, the customer and that kind of stuff. You know, especially like when you look at things like medicine, right? And we do have a problem with that here, but we also have. I can't even tell you what percentage of medication is developed in this country.
like 90.
I'm gonna say like
Well, okay, so like one form of Ozempic was developed in like Belgium.
right.
Okay, and then like Canada develops a bunch of drugs, so which they turn into generics and sell back to us.
And that's the thing is like
No, but I mean, I'm sorry, Sinovac wasn't exactly popular in the United States. Yeah.
it was not. No, it most certainly was. So in terms of like where most of the breakthroughs, it still happens here because they're protected
Yeah.
for a certain period of time. And this is something that people also don't know. Like I've heard tale of people like, so I went to Canada to get my medication. Right. They say, was there a difference? It's like, yes, it sucks. And it's a quarter-sized fucking pill, right? Where there's a lot of things where it's like, yes, they get they do other things, but it's second rate.
Yeah, I've heard that about parts of the system.
Parts of
I've
it.
heard other parts of it are pretty badass.
I've heard
So-
parts are good, but I've also heard like so. There are a couple of places that are like notoriously bad. It is like, do you need a specialist?
Oh, yeah, England is supposed to be horrifyingly bad for that.
Right. It's like, okay, so when is it open? Okay, 27.
Yeah. Of April? Oh shit.
That's the
Right.
year.
Oh fuck.
2027. It's like
Yeah.
my doctor gave me 4 weeks to live. It's like, well, you can mill around if like somebody gets out early.
Yeah,
you
we
know?
can put you on the wait list.
Yeah, so if somebody gets out early, like you may be able to take their spot. It's like, will they call me? It's like, nah, you just gotta hang out.
Yeah,
Just gotta hang out. Or you know what, man? Hey, hang out there. Be the first person in, because if the first person doesn't show,
you got a spot.
Right, you
There
might have
go.
a spot.
You might have a spot.
you know. And I hear Canada is exactly the same way.
I heard that, but I've also heard that like there's certain things that they're really good at emergency medicine.
I've heard it's the best.
I've heard it's fantastic.
I heard that's where a lot of people go.
Right.
Almost to again, there's also a problem with that in terms of like when everybody goes there, they also triage it like shit, right? But they will get
I
to
don't
you.
know that much about that.
They will get to you.
Yeah.
But you know, and that's the thing. But it just depends. Like if you go on a Memorial Day, or whatever their version is,
Yeah.
you're gonna be there all day.
Oh, Canada Day.
Right.
Yeah.
So I mean, this is the thing about medicine. The more that I look into this, the more that I study it, all I can say is nobody's got it right. Nobody has it perfect.
No.
We need to be stealing more ideas from each other instead of saying that this one is superior.
Yeah. I mean, I'll make a call and just stand for our system, as being probably the best. So
I would. Well, there
a
are
lot of people bitch about the price, but quite honestly, as Americans, we can afford it. So I mean,
Well, there's shit that needs to be ironed out.
There,
no question.
yeah, of course.
Right.
You know, but like actually, and I think I've made this point on the podcast before, but if you went to any country with socialized medicine and went to their government and said, hey, we're going to get all the companies to pay for this shit instead, they'd be like, what?
Go on.
But that's exactly what we do here.
Right.
You know, I mean, your company pays about 3/4 of all your medical expenses. So, you know, yeah, your premium's expensive. I get it.
I mean, I have heard that...
Small businesses get fucked. Individuals, contractors get fucked.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I get it. So there's gaps in the system.
Right.
You know, I mean, are they unfixable? No, of course. I mean, you could easily fix some of those things. That was what the exchanges were supposed to do, but then they got fucked by government subsidies.
They're awful.
They are awful.
Oh my God.
So,
it's,
you know.
It's misery. And I'll also say this, like, if there was a version of this where if you just treated, like, if you treated everybody on contract, like that was the employer, and just did that pool, like, problem solved.
Probably, yeah.
Right? But that's a different story. But I have also heard, as long as you're willing to put up with some of its totalitarian requirements, the Japanese healthcare system is great.
Yeah, I've heard that one is fantastic. But you're right, there are some totalitarian... You get, like, scored on your health.
That is correct.
Yeah, so... I think too many people in America would enjoy that. You know?
You
For
mean the winners or the losers?
Both. So the B's, the C's, and the D's where I belong, okay, we would catch it from both fucking ends.
Oh, yeah.
You'd be like, oh, yeah, I'm sorry. How many donuts did you put in your face last week, Pat? So, you know, it's like, well, I'm not paying for your health care, you fucking whiz. You know? And then the same thing is true with the F's. You'd be like, I am so far behind that I need your help. Oh,
right.
You know, I'll never be able to lose all this weight. Right. It's like, I've got 2 bad knees. How am I supposed to do lunges? You know? So that would be bad. All right?
Right.
So, yeah. So there'd have to be a mutual agreement amongst all of us that you were never allowed to share your score with anybody except for your doctor.
I know. I'm like...
Or actually, it'd be even better on the medical side of things if the doctors were prohibited from telling you what your score was.
You can tell. I think... I think there would be certain telltale signs, but yeah, you're right.
Of course, yeah.
But no, you're absolutely right. And yeah, the thing about this here is they often use this term. They use the term high trust society. I'm like, all right, I got it.
Yeah.
That's a very polite way of saying that it wouldn't work here, right? And this is not. I'm not talking about just the shit elements of the United States. I'm not talking about like those 4 blocks in Philly where it's fucking the end of the world. Right. I'm talking about there's a certain amount of... We have different attitudes towards stuff in the United States where it's like, well, are you using this or not? Well, I'm gonna take some.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
And it's the same thing of like again, not bad per se, but it's just kind of like, well, if you didn't want your bike, you know, you should have locked it up, right? Versus, you know, places where the concept of just going out there, you have that farming culture. They don't farm shit. They farm boutique stuff, right? Because they can't do it. So they take their like special vegetables. They go over to a booth, right, with a box that says, "This shit costs this much." People come over there. They grab 5 heads of lettuce, some carrots, and they put the right amount of money in and leave.
Oh, right, yeah.
All right. Now, I don't think America's a bad place. Okay. I think your average American is great, but
I think most of us would do that.
But 1 out of 10 of us
Take all the lettuce.
absolutely,
Yeah, exactly.
because it would say it's the same thing. Like you go to the Met or something like that and it says suggested donation,
Right.
right? Most of us are going to say like, well, it says 2. I'm going to put in 5 because I don't want to go to hell, right? Versus,
I know God is watching. Yeah.
but you know for a fact that person number 10 is like, well, it didn't say it says
It
just,
doesn't
I don't
say
have to
required,
pay.
yeah.
It's like
Well, I'll be the judge of that.
right. You look at it, it's like, you paid? Are you
Are
stupid?
you stupid?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So same thing with turnstiles and subways.
Yes.
It's like, oh, you're a chump. It was like, no, I'm a taxpayer.
Right. So that whole that you get to those things when it comes to like piracy and maintenance and stuff. It's like well, why do you pay for this? You get it for free. Well, so because I still want the subway to be there tomorrow.
Right. Yeah.
I paid to go on it.
Yeah.
Right. Same thing goes like, well, you didn't have to pay to watch that show. It's like, you're right. But I want to keep watching this show.
Yeah.
They don't make it for free. You understand that, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, but, you take these kind of places and you're like, I don't think this medicine system would work for you. Because, yeah, like you said, how many donuts did you eat? Exactly. Your answer is, as many as I could fit in my mouth.
One, yeah.
Right?
Fix me.
And again, and you also wouldn't have, in Japan, you would not have people like, what are you doing? It's like, well, I'm taking this camera of mine onto the plane because I'm fat. And I want to film myself being fat on your plane so I can say that you
would bring so much shame to your family.
Fucking ridiculous. No fat Japanese person would ever dream of doing that.
All of your ancestors would come to your house and rob it. Yeah.
So, yeah, these things are just incongruous. So,
you possess your dishwasher for the rest of your life. Yeah,
rightly
I know, man.
so.
Yeah. No, but that's completely different. I mean, like the fundamental thing that's really good about the Japanese system is, okay, so yes, it is government-funded healthcare.
Yes.
Okay, but the government will only pay 70% on anything.
Right.
Okay, so you have to go out and buy private insurance based upon how many fucking donuts you eat. So, or just cough up the cash when it comes time.
Correct.
So, and so that's not actually a bad system. The thing about it is like, I don't know, like, the breakdown on that. Okay, so if I make $100 in Japan and I pay $10 in taxes, does 9 of it go to that system? I don't know the answer
I
to
can't
that.
tell you that.
I don't know either. And so, I'm sorry, you'd have to show me the math. Which is why the Medicare for thing doesn't work, because nobody can actually show me the math, on it. I mean, every time someone tries to show me the math on it, it's based on theoreticals. And it's like, no, that's not going to happen.
Well, theoreticals is how we have what we have.
Right.
This is why you have dudes named Big Balls digging through all the numbers.
I know. Yeah.
Right? And coming up with money going to fucking Peruvian llamas and shit. That's a true story.
I know that's a true story. That stuff's all over now. So, okay, fine. Good riddance.
Right.
So, yeah.
Right. So, yeah, that's there you go.
Yeah.
Incongruous.
Incongruous.
Yes. And also, that also means that if you live in those societies, you eat dog shit chocolate. You eat things that aren't sweet that should be sweet.
Right.
Right?
That's not candy. That's seaweed.
No, it's torture. It's
torture.
Yeah. Why? Because you look at it, you say, this will taste good. And then it's like,
it just makes you cry.
Pretty much. If I went, it's like, here you go, Pat. We're gonna go get fajitas, and they all taste like black licorice.
No.
Like this is fucked.
It's not a fajita.
No.
Your country is fucked. Let's bomb it.
Is one good enough? Should we hit it again?
You're the one with the rule about food.
I say we hit it again.
Yeah, let's hit it again.
All right. Okay, there we go. All right. Any final thoughts?
I think the Rockies won one game.
Did they? Out of how many?
2.
That's pretty good. Those are professional numbers.
That's right. Yeah, exactly.
50%.
Yeah. Won't be at White Sox territory here soon.
All right.
Anyway, I'm Pat.
I'm Jeffrey.
Hitting the button.
All right.